So if you're looking for some pro Xbox news in this doom and gloom Xbox world, this might be the video that you've been waiting for. Now, I know there's always going to be something negative out there in the world, and yeah, I'm going to continue to cover things and give my kind of opinions on how I actually see them. I always feel it's a disservice when you're a content creator and you're not really honest about how you feel about certain things. You know what I mean? If you're upset about, something in particular with Microsoft, even though you're an Xbox fan, it's okay to go out there and, speak your mind on it. So I want everybody to know that, but there's still good things. I mean, yeah, the industry's changing. I don't think the industry is changing to the point where we're going to be able to say, hey, let's play PlayStation games on an Xbox. I think that would be actually not a great thing. And the reason why I don't think that'd be a great thing is because I think you need that competition there. But, this isn't really necessarily about that. I do want to get into what this is about, though, because this does sound promising and something that myself and probably millions of other fans would be interested in. Hey, I'm Crap Gamer, and this is Crap Gamer Reviews, of course, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I certainly appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. It helps out the channel. Means a lot to me personally. If you guys could go ahead and do that. Now, here's the thing. I've said this a lot. One of my favorite console accessories has been the Elite controller. I love the Elite controller. I like the Elite controller 2.0. I've bought numerous of these, and the reason is there's always a little something wrong with them in terms of the build quality, where it's not exactly great. And so, with that being said, we kind of look forward to the third one, where maybe the third time's the charm, and we get something absolutely incredible there. But according to this new leak/report, the Elite Series 3 is real, and it's improved leaps and bounds over the 2. Obviously, there's been a lot of news, and we're going into the Xbox showcase and things like that. But here's the thing. They're talking about new details on the Elite 3 controller. Although an Elite 3 controller hasn't been announced by the team just yet, Jez Gordon from Windows Central has it on good authority that Microsoft is actually working on the successor to the Xbox Elite Controller Series 2. Better yet, the Xbox reporter says it'll improve on the current model by leaps and bounds when it does eventually come out. He says, and I quote, "I also have it on good authority that Microsoft is working on a successor to the Xbox Elite Controller on the Series 2. Assumably, that's called the Series 3, that will modernize and improve the offerings leaps and bounds over the current model." Now, back in April of this year, Gordon mentioned that 3 new Xbox controllers are being prototyped right now at Microsoft headquarters, including an Elite Series 3. At the time, Gordon said that we might not see the next Elite pad until the new Xbox console launches, but in a new article, as Xbox Game Showcase 2025 reveal has been speculated on, Microsoft has revealed new controller models in and around their E3-style showcases in the past, so perhaps now's a good time for the Series 3 to debut. Time will tell. Just as Gordon says there, only time will tell us when Microsoft actually goes ahead and reveals this thing, but the Windows Central writer does seem pretty confident that an Xbox Elite Series 3 is in the works in some fashion. There's now less than 2 weeks to go until this year's Xbox Game Showcase, which airs on June 8th, 2025, and I know, listen, with the showcase stuff, I admit it, this is probably as laid back as I've ever been in terms of being excited for a showcase or whatever. And it's not that I don't like the games or whatever, it's just that I feel like a certain maybe thing has lost its way a little bit. Like E3 used to be such an amazing thing, and now it's like we don't have that E3 experience anymore, and it kind of sucks, E3 used to be all about the big three, kind of fighting back and forth, and showcasing what they had, and the games would take full advantage of the hardware of the first party that was showcasing it, and now it's just like kind of ho-hum, Microsoft show. Yeah, you could be excited for the games or whatever, but at the end of the day, there's just something not right, in my opinion, about the way that they're kind of doing this stuff. But I digress. It really kind of depends on the person and how you feel about these particular things. For me, though, I do think that it's a situation where I would love to see, exclusives back on the menu for Microsoft. And, if we can see something like that in the future, hey, great. I would love to kind of get back into that. I kind of doubt it, but whatever. One of the things in terms of like Xbox Series X, I love the Xbox Series X. I think it's great. It's a fantastic console. But if I had to knock anything on it, it would be the fact that I really wish, they would have put a new controller out for it. To be honest with you, it just feels kind of like a misstep that they didn't do that. It's like the Switch even has better haptics than the Xbox controller, so that's something that I think is kind of sad. And then of course, like the PS5 has a really good controller. I mean, I like the PS5 controller. I'm not the biggest PlayStation fan, but the haptics and stuff are really cool on that. I wish that they would be like that for Xbox, and the fact that we're using basically the same controller that we've used for the past decade plus with Xbox really kind of I think hampers what we would actually want to see. But again, at the end of the day, Microsoft is going to do what they're going to do, and the fact that this is something that that Microsoft has kind of up their sleeve or whatever, I think is kind of cool. And again, it's well past time for something like this. I hope that they have a bit of a situation where we can see more from this soon. I did feel that in terms of how Microsoft presented this generation, if there were mistakes, I would say the mistakes were kind of as follows. They didn't introduce a new next generation controller. They kept the same UI that they had previously. So, I don't look at that as necessarily good things. I always look at that as a negative. Some people might think it's a positive or whatever. Oh, have everybody on the same page or whatever. But it's like, you should be able to do more with the better hardware. And so that's how I kind of felt about that. And then the other thing was, they didn't have any exclusives to launch the platform with, which I think was a pretty big mistake. And, at the end of the day, it really kind of comes down to, you got to be able to listen to what the fans want and what everybody's kind of talking about. And, I just think PlayStation did a better job of people's expectations. Whether or not that panned out or not, I don't know. PlayStation obviously is the de facto console for the majority of people. And, at the same point in time, I feel like, Microsoft has kind of taken a step back with a lot of the stuff that they're doing. They're trying to be like this trendsetter, but it's hard to really kind of look at that and kind of take that serious as, hey, yeah, you're really doing something there, because in my opinion, it's hard to really see a way forward for hardware if you're doing, if you don't have anything specific for that hardware, you know what I mean? And basically, even though the Xbox Series X is more powerful than the PlayStation 5 base model, most developers didn't really take advantage of that. You see a lot of equal stuff, a lot of stuff on PlayStation actually outperforming it because they're making the games on these PlayStation dev kits and kind of porting it to Xbox. So that's, I think, the big problem. But righting some of the wrongs, I think is super important. Obviously, being able to do a situation where you have improved controllers. And, there's also the Sebille controller, which leaked during the FTC trial, where, everybody was kind of hoping that we would see, haptics and things like that with the next console. Unfortunately, that seemed to have been canceled or pushed back, or whatever the case may be, maybe waiting for the next generation of hardware, which, who knows? Like, I don't really exactly know what Microsoft's plans are. I don't think anybody does, outside of, hey, let's be this behemoth publisher, and that's really, I think their plan is the big behemoth publisher plan. So, again, is that going to actually work out? I don't know. But, it's exciting to see what's going to happen. And, maybe something good will happen from it. That's the hope anyway. So, anyway, with that being said, let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited about, the future of, like, the controllers and stuff like that? Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. I'll catch you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Crap Gamer out.